I'd like to start with a little bit of your backstory. I've looked into, I've been following you for a while. I've seen some of your story. You went from, I think, network marketing, landscaping business, high ticket sales, now running a 7-figure sales business. So fill us in on what your journey's looked like so far.
Well, you nailed it. You hit all the key milestones along my journey. I won't spend too much time on the backstory, but there are some key pivotal moments that I think allowed me to get here when I did. So yeah, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Like when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, I was going in the pantry, taking boxes of raisins, going to my neighbor's house and knocking on the door and trying to sell a little box of raisins for $1. Got a little older, started a weed business. So I'd go to all my neighbors again, asked to pull the weeds out of their grass. I was like 12, 13 years old, made some money doing that. Tried to do, dog walking and selling candy at school, like anything I could do to build something. I love the idea of making money for me, not under the thumb of somebody else telling me what to do, when to do it, when I can take my family on vacation. So I've always had this kind of entrepreneurial knack pretty much my entire life. I think some entrepreneurs are born, some are created. I was definitely born an entrepreneur, hated the idea of rules and things like that. When I was 18, I got introduced to the concept of network marketing. And because I loved building things and making money, made total sense to me. I was like, okay, cool. They're going to pay me to tell people about their product. Like if I like the product, I would share it with people anyway. So why not do that? So in about a year and a half, I built a team of 1,500 people in 10 different countries. I was an 18-year-old college kid making like $1,000 a week. All my bills were paid for in college. I was very fortunate. My parents paid for me to go to school. If they didn't pay for me to go to school, I wouldn't have gone to school because I didn't need a college degree, but they're like, look, we're paying for you. Just go party. Just please get a degree. So I did. But yeah, that was awesome, man. I spoke on stages and that was the first introduction to public speaking and also self-development, right? So I was 18. They flew me out to Tony Robbins. I went to his UPW and got coached by 2 of his top coaches and went to VIP at UPW, walked on fire, did the whole thing. And keep in mind, I'm 18, right? I'm 30 now. So this is over a decade ago. Started reading a lot of books, studying Jim Rohn, and just doing a lot of things that kids my age weren't doing. And that just further made me mentally unemployable. Like I knew I was I can't get a job. Like I'm mentally unemployable, which is a good and a bad thing. Like it forces me to have to figure out this world of business because I'd rather be homeless than go work for somebody else. Like it's pretty bad. So my dad had a landscape company. I refused to get a normal job. So I came in and took over the landscape company, built that from 300,000 to 3 million a year in less than 3 years. So we had 10 trucks, 32 employees, multiple 7-figure business, but dude, it kind of sucked. We're cutting 600 properties a week and getting guys to show up and just the maintenance and the overhead. It was not a profitable business at all. Left that and got into the world of online coaching and high ticket sales. My first ever sales job was at a company called Ad Outreach. The day I joined, they had just done $300,000 the previous month. And we ended up building that business from $300,000 a month to at our peak, $1.7 million per month. We're on the Inc. 5000 2 years in a row. I was their number one closer, turned into their head of sales for a short time, and then left that company, partnered up with this guy with this ClickFunnels award, took him from $25,000 a month to $250,000 a month in 10 months. Then he introduced me to this girl. Same thing, came in as a growth consultant, raised the prices, built the automations, hired the sales team, trained them, closed deals at a very high rate, and took her from $100,000 a month to $550,000 a month in 14 months. And then I kind of sat back at the end of 2023 and I was like, man, I'm helping this guy get rich, this girl get rich, but and I was doing okay, right? I was making 30 to 40 grand a month. I know it sounds crazy to be just say that is okay, but I knew I was worth more. So in November of 2023, I left, started closesales.com, and then built that to $1 million run rate in 10 months, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Look, that's a great resume you got there. And I love that it seems like you've done most of this through, it sounds obvious, right? But through the lens of sales, right? I think other people have different vehicles and offers that can, help businesses get to that point. But for you, it's, how to close sales, build a team, and build a sales system, which I think is awesome. So at what point did you kind of, I think, realize that just selling and being able to communicate one-on-one with people, and when did you realize that was your kind of specialty, and you were able to help other people with that as well.
Well, I realized from a young age, you're always selling. You're selling yourself to a life partner. You're selling yourself to a job. Like everybody is a salesperson. And like, it's funny when people like don't like sales. It's like, well, you're a salesperson no matter what. Like if you can't sell yourself to the opposite sex, if that's what you're into, like you're going to be single for the rest of your life. Like you have to be able to sell and market yourself. And the better you can communicate and understand human psychology, the easier it is to sell. So I kind of realized from a young age, obviously with the landscape company, all I needed was leads. And as soon as I had leads, I was just closing deals. But that was very face-to-face, shake a hand, walk around a yard in the Florida heat, you know, where I live in here in Tampa. And it was like very slow. You know, it's like I go to one meeting, 30-minute, hour-long meeting, depending on the size of the job. Then I'm driving 45 minutes to the next town over, meeting another homeowner. Like it was just very slow. I was able to do maybe 3 meetings a day, maybe like if they lined up, but a lot of times it didn't. So it was 1-2 meetings a day. And when I was introduced to the world of online, like high ticket coaching sales, I was like, wait, I can just book one call an hour every hour for 12 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours straight. And I can just boom, 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 help way more people, make way more money, scale way faster. That's when everything really unlocked. And after I was introduced to the industry, my first month, I kind of sucked. I had a 12% close rate. I did like $48,000 in sales while everybody else was doing 6 figures, almost got fired and almost quit, right? Because I was like, this isn't for me. You know, these leads aren't good. Like I was making excuses. And the one thing I will credit to my ex-wife, as my ex-girlfriend at the time, or ex-wife, she was my girlfriend at the time when she told me this, and then eventually turned into my wife and then ex-wife. The biggest thing I will credit her with is my first month, I sat down and I was like, I'm going to quit. I don't want to do this. These leads suck. This industry sucks. Like I'm out. And she looked at me and she's like, these leads don't suck. You suck. You suck at sales and you haven't developed this type of skill set. Because I was good at sales in the other industries, network marketing, landscaping, but I wasn't good at sales in this niche of online coaching. And obviously when she said that, it hurt. But I was like, damn, she's kind of right. Like, who am I to think? What kind of ego do I have where I thought I was going to walk into a brand new industry, selling a product I'd never sold in an environment I'd never been in before, and think I'm just going to crush it? And so it's kind of a check to my ego. And then I tripled down on developing the skill of online high ticket coaching sales. Next month did a little over 100K. Third month did 200K. And then I led that team in terms of revenue for the next 2.5 years. My best month ever, I did 485K in sales by myself, which was pretty good. I made 52K that month in commissions. So
yeah, that's sick. And I do think the transition to I think sales foundationally, right, it's the same, but it's certainly different going from, you know, sounds something like the landscape. And I sold car repairs for a long time, and it was a transition going to selling, you know, high ticket online info product coaching, things like that. What changed about maybe your philosophy about your philosophy around, you know, selling these types of services online?
yeah, it's a really good question. In landscape, it was really like who they liked the most, because it's like they want to like you. You're going to be around their yard and their dog and maybe their family and their kids. Like they want to like who's at their house. Like they want to trust you a little bit, but they really want to like you. Where in online high ticket, these people don't need to like you to buy from you. They need to trust you to solve their problem. Like landscape really isn't that big of a problem. Like you plant the plant in the ground and you put the soil on it and then you put mulch on top. Like it's not that complex, right? And it's very cut and dry. But in the world of online, it's hyper competitive. There's a lot of people out there who might be a fitness coach, health coach, relationship coach, whatever it may be. And these people don't need to like you. They need to trust you. In my first month in sales, everybody liked me. And I had a call with my mentor who kind of got me into the industry as well. His name was Moose. And I said, Moose, dude, I kind of suck at this, or the leads suck. Like, I don't know, but my income sucks and I don't like it. Like, what do I do? And he's like, dude, do you feel like people like you on your calls? I'm like, dude, yes, people love me on my calls. Like, they're telling me how great I am. And he's like, and they're not buying, are they? And I was like, no, it's the craziest thing. Like, they all say they love the conversation. They'll get back to me. And then I never hear from them again. He's like, yeah, man, we don't need people to like us. We need people to trust us. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what do I do? Show up to the call and be mean to people? Like, make them hate me? You know, like, what do I do? He's like, dude, you need authoritative leadership. They need to trust that you and this company you're selling for are the most qualified on planet Earth to help them solve the problem. That is what your offer does, right? And at that time, we were selling marketing to business owners. Like, they need to trust that you and your service and your product is going to be the best in the world to solve their problem. So I got on the calls and I stopped building 37 minutes of rapport. I stopped making jokes and being that charismatic, friendly guy. And I was just a lot more direct and to the point. It's like, hey, man, have the notes, but would love to hear from you. Like, what's got you on the call today? How can we help you? And then just diving deep during discovery and starting to uncover where they were at and where they wanted to go. And then strategically building them a bridge to help them get there. It was a lot more dry of a call, if you will. It was a lot less bubbly and smiley and friendly and joking. And it was just more direct. And people bought like crazy. Like, credit cards started to fly when I stopped building so much friendliness. And I didn't care about if people liked me. I just cared if they trusted me. And I knew if they trusted me, they would buy from me. And I knew if they bought from me and the company, we would change their life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I was going to bring that up too, because I've watched a lot of your, YouTube videos and your content and seen whether it's you on a call or working with your coaching clients. You're direct, right? Like, you're very calm, direct, and honestly, like, say some things and I'm like, dang, it takes confidence to say it that way. And the thing is too, if you said it without confidence, people might be like, ooh, so I really like your approach with it, but I do think a lot of salespeople or coaches or salespeople, right, whoever's the one, selling it, struggle kind of having that confidence to be that direct and honest and really hold the customer accountable on that call. So how would you suggest that someone kind of approaches gaining that confidence to be, I don't want to call it confrontational, but kind of borderline confrontational, right? How do you get that confidence?
You have to care more about the prospect than you care about how that prospect perceives you. If you're so caught up in, well, I don't want to be mean, I don't want to hurt Cheryl's feelings, I don't want her to think I'm a bad guy, you're selfish. I got over that many years ago, where I no longer give a shit what people think about me, because I know my intentions are pure and I am here to serve this person. And sometimes serving people requires you to have tough conversations that people don't want to hear. It takes a lot of courage to step up for somebody and tell them, hey, what you're doing isn't working and you really don't need to think about this. We both know this is exactly what you need to do. Go grab your credit card. I'm going to change your life. Because those people are going to come back to you later and thank you. I have a testimonial on my website. I did a big client retreat down in Siesta Key. Had like 6 or 7 of the guys stayed at my house the night before. A couple of them stayed the night after the retreat. And one of my clients, we were doing an in-person interview sitting right here. I brought over 2 little chairs in front of my plaques. And my client, Zach, was like, dude, I didn't even like you when I bought from you. And like, you see my face in the interview. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean you didn't like me? He's like, dude, you coached me like on the sales call and like before we started working together. And you told me a lot of stuff that I did not want to hear. And it really hurt. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized that you were right. And the reason I hired you was not because I liked you. The reason I hired you is because I trusted you to tell me the truth and help me make life-changing decisions inside of my business that would ultimately get me to where I wanted to go. And it's like, I just threw that out the window a long time ago of like, I need people to really like me. I don't care. And even if somebody doesn't buy from me, I will have given them a firm enough kick in the ass to make a change. If it's with me, great. If it's not with me, that's okay too. But I will have kicked them in the ass hard enough and inspired them enough and told them the truth enough that they're like, you know what? I don't like that guy, but he's right. And I do need to do something about this. And they'll be inspired enough to make decisions that will change the trajectory of their health, their fitness, their life, their sales, their business, whatever it is that I'm selling at that time. And I'm okay with that. As long as that person gets the help that they need, I can sleep good at night. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And just on the other side of that, how would you feel, either personally, right? Or how would clients of yours, how would you encourage them to view it if they did not have the confidence to do that and they left that person right where they're at?
Yeah, they're selfish. Like, people ask me all the time, don't you feel pushy and salesy at the end of the call? And I said, don't you feel like shit when you don't push people and then they don't hire you and then they don't get the results and then you run into them on the street a year from now, 2 years, 5 years from now, and they're in the exact same spot that they were in when you got on the initial call with them? Like, don't you feel like shit about that? Just leaving all of these humans stuck, overweight, out of shape, low close rates, small businesses, like when they have so much potential and they needed you to pull that potential out of them, but you selfishly cared more about their perception of you than you did about inspiring them to take action to change their life. So do I feel pushy? No, because I know that I'm being pushy from a place of service. I know that I will only sell somebody if I'm 1000% confident that this is the action that they should be taking. If I have any doubt in my mind, I'll just tell people like, hey, just don't hire me, right? There's better people out there. Like, you don't need me, right? People get on calls with me all the time and they're like, dude, I know your program costs 10K. I want to hire you. I'm in. And I start uncovering more about them and their business, and they just don't have enough lead flow. I'm like, dude, take the 10 grand and dump it into ads. Like, don't hire me right now. Like, you need leads. You're taking 2-3 calls a month. You need to be taking 2 to 3 calls a day. Hiring me, I'll teach you how to be a killer closer, but you got no one to close. Like, you got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. Like, you're trying to come to me and just sprint out of the gates, but like, we have nowhere to sprint to because we don't have anyone to sell our stuff to. So I'm very honest. So if I'm holding somebody accountable at the end of the call, I know with absolute confidence and certainty that my program is what they need to do to change their life. And that's why I have no problem holding their feet to the fire, keeping them accountable and making sure that they take the action that they need to take.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a great point, making sure that they truly are qualified and they really need it. Right. Because I do think if you don't really believe that you can help them or they're not the right fit, and then you do that, that can borderline be selfish too. Right. So you always want to make sure like, all right, I can actually help this person and this is the right fit for them, which I think that gives the green light to give them that firm kick in the ass and to hold them accountable to actually take an action. So that's awesome. And I think that's the biggest thing that people struggle with typically is having that confidence to like sit in that awkward moment and have that tough conversation. People don't, like being confrontational in most situations, but I love your takeaway that it can be quite selfish not to do it because you're leaving that person stuck. And I think that's important for people to understand.
Absolutely. Like, how do you feel when you run into Cheryl a year from now? Hey, Cheryl, how's everything been? Great to see you. Yeah, things haven't been great at all. Things have actually been pretty bad. And then you have to go home at night knowing the last 12 months of Cheryl's life have not been good. And that's your fault, not hers, because you didn't have the courage to step up, step out, hold her accountable, and help her 12 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's powerful stuff. I love that. And we're gonna dive back into that a little bit here and kind of that piece of it. But I also want to, for a moment here, go into really just lessons you've learned from scaling businesses, right? So you've worked in multiple sales teams that have done 6-7 figures in a month, right? So what are some of the biggest lessons learned about scaling, I guess, sales operations effectively, right? Because talking one-on-one with people on a call is, a piece of it. And obviously you need to be closing sales to scale it and bring the revenue in. But what do the surrounding pieces look like? Like, what are your takeaways from having a sales operation that is scaled?
Yeah, it's really easy. Everybody thinks it's so hard. So when they go to do it, what happens? It's really hard because they're already psyching themselves out. Oh, this is going to be such a hard process. It's so scary building a team. Like, it's not that hard. Like, when you really dumb it down to like brass tacks, okay, we need leads booking on the calendar. Okay, well, how do they book? You can use Schedule Once, you can use Acuity, you can use Calendly, like you use whatever you want, right? Once you have a software, then we need good questions to qualified people to make sure they're actually humans that we can help so we're not wasting our time on calls. Now we have a filtering process with calendar questions to make sure it's only qualified people booking a call. Okay, if we have a sales team of 3, we just run a round robin to the 3. And then we have our KPIs, kind of our checkpoints in place to make sure people are hitting metrics. If your KPI is 40% close rate and 50% cash collected, great. At the end of every month, you know who your top performing reps are, you know who your struggling reps are. And then from a sales management or CEO perspective, You need to be investing time into the people that are struggling to help them raise their KPIs. The biggest downfall that I see when people go to scale sales teams and sales operations, they don't have good coaching and mentorship for their team. So their team never succeeds. You have to be coaching them, reviewing their calls, giving them everything that they need to actually be successful. And I see so many coaches, they go out in the world, they're like, I need to find a sales rep, and they hire a sales rep and they have a dog shit training and onboarding process for that sales rep. The sales rep never performs. Like, that sales rep sucks. Next. And they fire them, and they just turn and burn sales reps, and the business never builds. Once you go through 27 sales reps, it's probably a you problem from a management and leadership perspective, not 27 different sales reps problem, right? And that's why I have my higher level program. It's a 25K program, and it teaches the business owner, how to find good reps and interview them and pay them and all that. But more importantly, how to step up and be a leader of a team, probably for the first time in their entire life, because good leadership equals good employees. Good employees means more deals closed. More deals closed means more money to reinvest into marketing, which gets more leads. And then it's just a positive flywheel in the right direction. So it's not that difficult. Like, some type of marketing, some type of calendar questions, to filter people out.
Yep.
Give your reps the people that they can go talk to. Make sure those reps are closing deals at a very high rate. Then the secret sauce is over deliver on client success. You can enroll as many people in the world as you want, but if your client success sucks, you're going to get bad reviews. You're going to get negative YouTube videos. You're going to get people telling all their friends, don't hire that company. I paid them X and it was shit. You got to triple down on client success. The better your client success, the easier it is to build, because you get more referrals, more testimonials.
Yeah. Yeah, it becomes self-sustaining at some point, right? Like, it just kind of all feeds into itself. Yeah, I love that. I love that perspective. And I'm curious, what is your thoughts on this? I think sometimes maybe the coach or the service provider, right, when they start, they're selling their product, their program. And they have the conviction in it because it's theirs and they know how to communicate it, and they can close. But then when they go to hire a sales rep, can I say this? They may not have been closing because they were the best salesperson. They just had the ultimate conviction because it was their product and they were the one delivering it. So I think they struggle to transfer the sales skills or the sales, process to a rep. And there's a little bit of a disconnect there. Do you find that happens sometimes? And what would you recommend someone do to kind of remedy that?
Yeah, the easiest way to have a terrible sales rep is a sales rep that doesn't believe in what they're selling. Like, human nature, like, if you don't believe in it, you can try and fake the confidence, but your energy is going to shine through that you just don't believe in what you're selling. So one of the first things I would do when I build a sales team, here's our VSL, here's our training, here's our backend modules, like, here's what we do, right? So they have to understand, like, what it is that we do, how we help people. So that indoctrinates them into our philosophies and processes that we actually know what we're doing. Then it's like, hey, here's every single video testimonial that we have. Watch every single one of them. So I force new sales reps, I don't care if it's 14 hours of testimonial videos, they're going to sit and they're going to watch it. And that indoctrinates them into how good of results we actually get for people. So now that they've gone through our back-end content, our front-end VSL, and like social media ads, things like that, they understand what we do. Then I show them the behind the curtain of the testimonials of people that have gone through what we do and gotten incredible results. Their conviction is through the roof. And then you insulate the rep from every single person that they enroll, because not everybody's going to get results in a program. Like, I've put 350 people through my program. I probably have 5 or 10 people that didn't get great results through my program. Now, is that a me and my program thing? No, right? If 340 other people are crushing it, we've done over $100 million in sales. It's not a me thing, right? Like, I have too much, the proof is in the pudding. Like, there's too much proof that what I do works at a very high level. It's a them thing. But if you have a sales rep and they enroll someone and 6 weeks later, that person comes back complaining, oh, this program wasn't what you told me it was going to be, and it kills the belief, whether it's true or not, it kills the belief of that sales rep. And there's no better way to tank a sales rep's close rate than to have pissed off people that they enrolled coming back to them weeks later. I'll give you an example. When I was selling for the company doing 1.7 million a month, bro, I was on fire. I believed in our product. Like, I was crushing it. My conviction was through the roof. Nobody could tell me it didn't work. Well, I had the idea because my ex was a coach, and I had the idea, hey, let's enroll her into the program because she'll crush it too. And then my conviction will be even higher because I'll tell people, hey, my girlfriend just spent $20,000 on this program. Like, I wouldn't have my girlfriend spend 20K if it wasn't a good program, right? Well, she enrolled in the program. Some weird circumstances happened. Some people were kind of transitioning out, didn't really take care of her like they should have. She got no results. What do you think happened to my conviction when my own girlfriend wasn't getting results in the program I'm selling? Bro, my close rate dropped off a cliff like that. So as long as you have a good product, you need to make sure that you're insulating your reps, where once they become a client, they should never talk to that sales rep again. They shouldn't be updating credit cards with the sales rep. They shouldn't be going to the client, doing client success type things with the sales rep. The sales rep need to be laser focused, tunnel vision, selling, selling, selling. So you have to build insulation around those sales reps to make sure that the only time they should see that client ever again or talk to that client ever again is when that client's getting wins, that client's giving testimonials, that client's dropping referrals. That's when you plug them back in, because that raises the conviction, not lowers it.
Dude, that's awesome. Ax, to tell you the truth, I've never heard someone articulate that in that exact way. Because obviously you want them to see the client results, but I haven't quite heard someone go, hey, maybe they shouldn't talk to anyone until that client's gotten to that point. And I think a lot of times and it probably goes back to the wanting to be liked to a certain extent. It probably all feeds into each other, where the sales rep kind of wants to maintain a relationship, so to speak. Like, I sold this person, I have to feel like I'm still, connected to them in some sort of way. But I guess that could ultimately lead to a negative experience that butterfly effects out. That's interesting. Yeah. So then for someone just starting to build out their kind of like higher level sales process, or think about maybe hiring their first rep, or kind of taking it from just them taking sales calls with, their own clients. What is the foundational piece that you would advise them to do just to make sure they start off doing it right?
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into this. So like my genuine, honest recommendation is hire me or somebody like me. Like, there's so much shit that goes into this process, but I will give you the biggest needle mover if you're going to hire a sales rep for the first time. Okay. Duplication, because this one sales rep statistically will not be here 6 months from now. And that's okay. But you don't want to restart the whole process 6 months from now or 2 weeks from now, whenever they quit or get fired. Or maybe they never quit. Great. But that means that you're crushing it and you're going to need more. So you want to create a duplicatable system. So you, as the business owner or head of sales, which is a very important position, CEO, head of sales, or both, like, those are very important positions. And if you constantly have to take your focus away from doing what you do every day, money-making activities, to onboard and train new sales reps, who then maybe 6 weeks later quit, you just invested 6 weeks of time into someone who's no longer here. So what I create, I call it a new advisor homework document. And it has a couple different sections on the document, but to keep it simple, one section would be like sales training, right? So, hey, like, maybe that coach worked with me in the past. Hey, here's all the recordings of Austin from the past, breaking down my calls as the CEO. Learn from what he's teaching to me. Right? So you can collapse the learning curve and not make the same mistakes. Hey, here's how we pitch our offer. Here's our offer stack and the pricing. Here's how scrappy we can get on payment plans. Like, one section needs to be all pre-recorded content teaching your customized sales process and any trainings that you can put in there. Another one, which people overlook, here's how to use our systems. Here's how to use Go High Level or Close.io or whatever CRM we use. Here's how to onboard new clients. Here's all the stuff, like the operations that you need to know. Here's the links that you need to save. Here's our testimonial videos to go through. Like, that's its own section. It's not sales. It's more like sales operations, things that support the sales process. And then the final one is like, hey, bookmark all of this stuff. Bookmark the payments page, bookmark the testimonials link, bookmark the VSL if somebody asks for it. Like, here's all the links and all the stuff that you need to save. It'll probably take somebody a good 3 to 10 hours to build out this document. Then what you do is when you hire a new sales rep, you in your Excel spreadsheet just add a column with the sales rep's name with a checkbox list all the way down. And every time they complete one of these videos, they check it off. They check it off. So you can monitor the onboarding process of this rep. If you have 3 reps, 3 columns. And the other reps can see kind of where the other reps are at. And then what I do is on my top half, my top section, that's like sales training, I always have a task to do after that video. Hey, send me your 3 biggest takeaways from this video. And I know if a rep is good or not based on the quality of the takeaways they send me. If they send me, oh yeah, brevity, that was super cool, that rep, I'll fire them. Like they're just not going to make it. I've done this for too long. I've trained hundreds of reps. Like if that's the quality of their takeaway and it's like 3 quick bullet points, they're not invested. They're never going to make it. But when they're sending you paragraphs of explaining what they learned and how they're going to implement it, those reps will always succeed 100% of the time. So you have this document that's a pain in the ass to create once, but once it's created, you can use it over and over and over and over again for all of your new reps into the future. It will save you literally hundreds of hours of your time, because if you don't have this document, you have to do it manually, right? And you're the CEO. Like, where do you find time to do this manually? And then 6 weeks later, the rep quits or gets fired anyway. So then it's like, what did we just spend all that time doing? And then you do it over and over, and it leads to burnout. And then the CEO says, you know what? I'm making less money because these reps aren't closing deals as good as I was. I'm spending way more time running the business and training the rep and reviewing their calls and onboarding them and answering their questions. Why am I working twice as hard to make half the amount of money? I'll just go back to doing it on my own. And then they get stuck at 20, 30, 50, maybe if they're lucky, 100K a month. And then they can never scale past that because they don't have enough time. The only way to scale past that is by building a team. But if you don't build a team properly, it never gets built. And then you just go back to your comfort zone and kind of hang out and 10, 20, 50, $100,000 a month.
Yeah. I think that's a gem there, really making it duplicatable, so that you can minimize the onboarding process, right? And I think what's important too, and maybe even diving into this a little bit later, but making this system something sales reps can get plugged into. Like, I think I've seen times where people want to hire just like a killer closer and they come in and it's just like, hey, just make sure you're closing deals. And it's like, okay, well, if they're a great closer and they leave, then you're kind of back where you were. And it's creating a system that you can plug into. So it's not like starting from square one every single time. And that, kind of that document that you have there, that's a really good way of laying it out and making sure that process can be seamless. So kind of the last question here before we wrap up this portion of it. What impact do you want to leave on this online business industry as a whole? And I guess specifically maybe through the lens of sales, but what's the impact or legacy you'd like to leave?
Dude, if you're going to have an online offer, you got to be a killer closer. You have to be. Like, it's really cool for me doing what I do, like being a sales consultant, teaching sales, right? Because I have clients in damn near every niche you can imagine. Right. So I have a guy that teaches you how to play guitar. I have another guy that teaches you how to fly drones. Two other guys that teach you how to produce music. Like, I don't know anything about drones or guitars and music, like quite literally nothing. Right. But by helping them get better at sales, become lethal on the phones, they have a bigger impact of helping more people learn how to play guitar and fulfill their lifelong dreams of learning how to play guitar. And so I get to have this beautiful ripple effect impact in so many different niches that I know nothing about, right? I have 2 closers that I'm working with right now, and they're on $1 million a month women's fitness coaching offer for women in menopause. Does it look like I know a single thing about menopause? No, but I know that it sucks, especially after reviewing their calls and seeing how bad it is. Like, but now I get to help them get good at sales, which then helps more women make the decision to hire this company and change their life through menopause. So that's the legacy that I get to leave. Will my name be on all of that and get credit for all of that? No. And I'm okay with that. I don't need the recognition, right? I'm happy to be behind the scenes helping these individuals and these teams so they can go out into the world and they can push incredible products and close at a very high rate to make sure that the people out there that are on the phones that need the help get the help. But that's also why I scrutinize my clients very heavily before I onboard them, because if you hire me, I will show you how to be disgusting on the phones. I will show you how to close damn near everyone. And if you don't have good client success and an actually good program, I don't want to help you get really good at selling more people. That's like tarnishing my legacy. That's like moving me backwards, right? Because now I have a bunch of people selling crappy products and taking money from people and not delivering. How do I sleep good at night? Like, I've turned down deals because I just wasn't 100% confident that this is the best product out there. So that's why I scrutinize my clients very heavily. They got to have case studies. They got to have testimonials. They actually have to have a good product service coaching program. I just won't work with it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. 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 That's powerful. I'm really thinking about the impact that you make just outside of, specifically the clients you're working with. It's what they go and do with the skills and who that impacts. And I think that's a hell of a legacy, man. Here in the more tactical portion of this, starting with the sales call framework. I watched your recent video here. I know you've got an absolute killer sales call framework. I don't know if you've trademarked it yet, but maybe you should. I don't know where you're at in that process, but tell me a little bit about your your sales call framework that you use.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have 6 hours? Because I can get pretty granular on it, but to walk you through it, right, and give you kind of the tactical principles that will genuinely help people. So I call my sales process the RFPDP method, right? So if you're listening to this, pause the video, grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to write this down. So what that stands for is rapport, frame, pain, discovery, pitch. That's how I've ran all 7,000 plus of my sales calls, is through this process, right? I've personally closed well over $7 million in cash using this process. And I've taught it to over 350 coaches and closers in damn near every niche that you can imagine. B2B, B2C, low ticket, high ticket, it doesn't matter. As long as it's between $2,000 and $100,000, the RFPDP method will work for you. Right? It'll work less than 2K, but it's probably not worth your time to get on a sales call for pennies. And if it's more than 100K, it's probably very high level B2B consulting services, and there's decision makers and more of a long drawn out process, right? But this process will work to one call close, paid in full, with little to no objections, damn near every single time when you get on the call with a qualified prospect, right? And so walking you through the methodology, rapport, frame, pain, we do all of those together in 2 minutes or less. Rapport, you ask 2 questions. Hey, Grant, how's the week going for you so far? And if it's a Monday or Tuesday, I say, are you off to a good start? Everybody says, how's your day? So I like to be different. Hey, how's your day going? Oh, yeah, day's going. It's just, it's useless, right? Hey, man, how's the week going for you so far? How's the month going for you? How's the year going? There's something a little different. That's just a kind of a waste of time, waste of question, but it kind of breaks the ice, gets the conversation going. And then I say, great, where are you located? And then you say, oh, I'm here. Cool. I don't actually care where you're located. I'm not hoping you live close to me. I'm not hoping I love the sports team in your town. I don't care where you're located. I want to know your time zone, and I want to know, is there potentially a currency exchange difference if you're in a different country? So I'm actually using that as a rapport question, but to gather intel and information for me, right? And the key to a good rapport is you collapse the gaps of silence. And this is where 99% of people listening to this miss every day of the week. Because if I say, hey, Grant, how's the week going for you so far? And you respond and you say, good. And I don't immediately start talking, human nature, what are you going to do? How's your week? Exactly. Yeah. But guess what? You don't give a shit how my week is going. You just care about solving. Humans are selfish. They're on the call, not because they care about you or me. They're on the call because they want to know, can you or me solve their problem? So you don't give a shit how my week is going. You care less. So now we're wasting time. We're becoming way too friendly. We're bantering back and forth, and our authoritative leadership is off a cliff. So as soon as you say good, and you put the D in good, the second that is done, like the millisecond, I jump in. Awesome, man. Where are you located? Oh, yeah, I'm out here in Scottsdale. As soon as I hear Dale, the E in Scottsdale, I'm jumping in. Awesome, man. So here's what I want to do. I have the notes you sent over in front of me, but I definitely have some additional questions. I want to dive a little bit deeper. Really, man, just want to see if I can help you. If everything looks good, I'll build you out some higher level strategy. show you what it would look like to partner up. And if for whatever reason I can't help you, hopefully at the very least I can point you in a different direction. Cool? Yeah, man, that sounds great. Awesome. So like I said, have the notes, but I would love to hear from you directly. What's got you on the call today? What can I do for you? Rapport, frame, pain. Why are you on the call? 2 minutes or less, and we're off and running into our discovery. Does that make sense so far? Do you need me to elaborate on any of those points?
No, I think that makes perfect sense. And I love that, because I think people really spend too much time developing rapport. And in my calls, I do a very, very similar thing. I really like collapsing the silence gap. That's great. And really what I do in the beginning of calls with building rapport, like I don't spend more than, what I imagine being 30 to 45 seconds actually building rapport. It's almost being able to read someone immediately and figure out like, all right, let me just see their tonality, their body language, their environment, and just finding some sort of way to get an understanding of who they are. I use this example sometimes. It's almost like if you're going out to the bar with your boys, how you approach that situation versus if you're visiting your grandmother in a nursing home. Like if you can get the context clues and immediately pick up and make a slight adjustment, I feel like you can fall into rapport really quickly. But yeah, continuing on there, I think it's clear on there. What's the next portion of the call then?
The most important portion of the call. And so here's where I differ from everybody else on the internet that teaches sales, right? Every sales coach is focused on objection handling. Here's how you handle objection. Here's your one-liner objection handling. Here's your objection handling flashcards, right? Like I saw ads for that years ago. It's like, this is the dumbest thing on planet Earth. Like if you're actually good at sales, you don't get objections. Like, dude, I don't even think I'm good at objection handling. And when I actually get an objection, I'm like, oh shit, like, what do I say here, right? Like it's a muscle that I haven't worked out in so long because I've mastered objection prevention. Would you rather be proactive or reactive, right? I live in Florida. We have hurricanes. You want to be proactive and like go get the sandbags and board up the house to make sure you're protected? Or do you want to be reactive when your roof is blowing off? You're like, oh shit, I should probably get my animals and kids out of the house, right? Like being proactive makes way more sense and always leads to better outcomes. So what I do during discovery is I spend about 15 to 30 minutes playing ping pong. I ask a question, you give me an answer. I ask a question, you give me an answer. I don't relate, I don't validate, right? I was talking to one of my clients, he was a brand new client. I was reviewing a sales call. I'm like, yo, why do you keep like relating and validating everything he says? He's like, oh, well, I was in this other mentorship program and they told me to, I think it was relate, validate, and then it was like some other bullshit that we don't need. I'm like, dude, we don't need any of that. Like you are killing this call with every single time. Relate, validate, and whatever. I'm like, dude, we don't need any of that, right? QA, back, forth. I obviously want to know your pain. I want to know your timing of like, hey, do you have the bandwidth to even enroll into this program? Okay, you do? Great. Do you have the bandwidth and want to do it right now? So I want to know the timing. I want to know if they have a partner or spouse. And I think the most underrated topic of discovery is what have you tried in the past? Well, I haven't done anything. Why not? Is that because you just didn't know that coaches like me existed? Is that because you have a budget issue with hiring help? Like, what do you mean you haven't done anything? Or, yeah, I did another mentorship program a couple months ago. Great. How much did you pay for that? Who was it? What did you like? What did you not like? What questions do you wish you would have asked before you hired that person? Right? So I'm learning so much about the prospect, and it's only Q&A until my objection radar goes off. Like if you say, yeah, man, I really want to do something, but like probably 6 months from now. What most people do is they just like, okay, yeah, great. And then they run through the whole call. And at the end of the call, they're like, dude, this sounds exactly what I need. Like, let me send you an email in 6 months. And then they're like, oh, you're not going to buy today? Like, dude, they told you 38 minutes ago during discovery, they weren't going to buy today. You grazed over it. And now you have to reactively try and convince them to do it today when they already told you they wouldn't. And so what I do is Q&A back and forth. If I hear a potential objection, I attack it head on. I make statements, I ask questions, I uncover it. And if I cannot get through that objection, I don't pitch. If we're talking about the timing thing and you're dead set on 6 months and I'm doing everything I can to get through that to be today, and it's not today, Why do I want to walk through an elaborate pitch? Why do I want to give them the price? Why do I want to spend another 30 minutes on the call with a prospect that is telling me, no matter what you present to me today, I ain't buying it for another 6 months? That's a waste of my time. My program might be radically different in 6 months. And if I tell you it's 10K and you come back to me 6 months from now, now it's 30K, now you're pissed off and you're like, no, I want the old price. I'm like, well, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you never walk them through that, they come back in 6 months, you tell them it's 30K, they buy it, right? So there's 10 topics of discovery. I won't go through them all, but if you're listening to this, the easiest way to figure out discovery questions to ask, what are the objections that you're getting? Is it timing? Is it spouse? Is it price? Like, what objections are you getting? Turn those into discovery questions so you can proactively get the information out on the table. And then that will allow you to prevent these objections, or at least give you an understanding of how to handle them later on in the call. Discovery is as long as it needs to be. I'll do discovery for 2 hours if I have to, but I refuse to go into my pitch until I've done a thorough, deep, intelligent discovery. What I teach to all my clients and what I want to teach to everybody on planet Earth that I can, because I don't know if I created this or I heard it somewhere. Like, I don't know. I can't find it on the internet. Maybe I'm smart and created it. Probably not. But here's the statement that changed everything for me. People gauge your level of intelligence based on the quality of the questions that you ask, not the statements that you make. So when you do deep, intelligent discovery, you're asking questions and they're like, man, I love this guy. I didn't make any statements about me. I want to buy from this guy. They don't even know what I'm selling. I want to work with this guy. They don't know anything about my program, because I'm taking the time to spend with them to understand them at the deepest level, where now their heart is telling them, work with this guy. And logically in their brain, they don't know the price. They don't know the program length. They don't know anything, but their heart is saying yes, because we need to align their head and their heart to get them to buy. So many people do a really shit discovery. It's very quick. They graze over it in 7 minutes. And then they do this elaborate logical pitch and their head is saying this program makes sense, but their heart is not saying do it. Their heart is throwing out objections. Their heart is saying, give me a week. Their heart is saying, let me talk to my spouse, because you didn't spend enough time doing discovery. If you think about a doctor, right? You have a broken arm. And the doctor walks in and he says, hey, how's it going? You say, yeah, not good. My arm's broken. He says, cool. And he pokes your arm and you're like, does that hurt? And you're like, yeah. He's like, it's broken. You need surgery. We need to put a rod in your arm. Dude, I don't care how many white coats you have. I don't care how many clinics you have. I don't care how many surgeries you've done, how old you are, you've been a doctor for. I don't care. I don't trust you, because you didn't take enough time to genuinely ask me questions to understand my pain level, how it broke, when it started, what I've tried to do so far up until coming into the appointment. Like, I want to know all of that. And if the doctor doesn't take the time to ask it, I don't care how trusted they are, I don't want to work with them. I'm like, hey man, I appreciate your professional opinion. I'm going to go shop this around a little bit before I commit to jamming a rod in my arm. Right? And that's what happens on our calls. We walk in, we're so confident. Yeah, I know I can help this person. We ask 6 questions that are all surface level. And then we spend 40 minutes telling them how we can help them. And then they don't buy it. And the sales rep and the business owner doesn't know why. It's because you're not taking enough time to align their heart. And if you don't have both, they don't buy. If you have one and not the other, they don't buy. You've got to have both. So discovery aligns the heart with deep, intelligent questions and prevents objections. And then our pitch, my number one rule of a pitch, don't have a pitch deck. Don't share your screen. Don't have a Canva presentation. Don't have a Google document. Don't share anything. And I think that's my most controversial thing that I teach to my clients, because like, well, everyone tells me I should have a pitch deck. Good luck. Let me know how that works out for your close rate. Because what happens when you have a pitch deck is, number one, people say, hey, can you send this to me after the call? Like, I want to review it. Like, I want to take a look at this and kind of like read through it on my own time, and I'll get back to you. Number two, while you're speaking, they're reading something else on the pitch deck. And now they can't comprehend either. So they're not retaining the information. Number three, people are nosy, right? They're looking at your tabs and what else you have open and, you know, all these different things on your screen. They're nosy, right? So they're not paying attention. Number four, if you don't share anything and you say, hey, do you have a pen and paper, something to take some notes with? You're going to want to write this down. It forces them to be more present. It forces them to pay attention. Number 5, if you need me to keep going, when you share a pitch deck, it's not customized, right? It's just, hey, you're just another person on the phone. Here's what I do. Take it or leave it. People love customization. They love to feel special. And you can't really lace in customization when you're sharing a blueprint that you share to everybody. So they don't feel special. They don't want to buy it. It just feels like another prospect on the phone with you today, right? So the list goes on and on. So the biggest thing in the pitch, don't share your screen. Force them to take notes and write it down and retain the information and ask questions along the way. We go through our pitch in its pillars, delivery, price drop. Pillars is all strategy, right? If you're a fitness coach, your pillars could be fitness, nutrition, and education. I'm a sales coach. It's like script/framework, right? Getting you a better sales script. It's systems, so like calendar, questions, CRMs, and it's scale, raising your prices, building a team, right? So like those have nothing to do with the length of my program, the price of my program, how I support you in the program. It's all strategy. You do one pillar. Hey, Grant, is that making sense? Do you have any questions for me so far? No, man, everything's great. Cool. Now that we've done this, the next thing we need to do is this, and the pillars are stacking. You want to have 3 to 4 pillars that all cohesively stack on top of each other. And after each pillar, you stop, give your prospect the opportunity to ask you questions and make sure that they understand it. You pay attention to their body language. Hey, does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. You really think it made sense? Absolutely not. If they're not like, dude, this is great, this is exactly what I need, makes total sense, they're not bought in. And then I question that. Hey, are you sure? You sound pretty unsure. Like, this is really important. Like, I want to make sure you understand this. Like, what questions do you have for me? Well, like, it makes sense, but, and then they ask their questions. Most people just breeze right over that and just go to the next, the next, the next. They love hearing themselves talk. I want to talk the least amount possible on a sales call. Right? So once we do our pillars, then we temp check all of the pillars. Hey, man, are those 3 steps kind of what you were looking for, hoping for? Like, how you feeling about those 3 steps to help you accomplish? Insert goal. Yeah, man, this is great. This is exactly what I need. Then we go through our delivery pretty quick. Yeah, man, so we're going to partner up for the next X amount of weeks or X amount of months. And in that time together, you're going to get a handful of things, right? You get this many one-on-one calls. You get this many group calls. You get this amount of access to me. I have an app. I have a group, whatever it is. You breeze through it. You don't need to tell them, we have a group call every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Be there or be square. Like, because what if they can't make that call, right? You're just seeding objections. Once they've paid you, they'll figure out how to make the call. Once they've paid you, you can give them extra one-on-one calls to compensate if they can't make the group calls. You can send them the recordings. You can figure it out once they've paid you. But people's brains are designed to keep them safe, not happy. So when you tell them and they hear things that they can't participate in because of a time zone or picking up their kids from school or whatever, they're like, either I don't want to buy this or I want a discount because I can't maximize the full value of the program. All right. So we keep our delivery very basic, very simple. We don't need to tell people when the group calls are, how many people are on the calls, how many people are in the group. It's, hey, man, we're going to work together for this amount of time. You're going to get a handful of things to support you. I know it's overkill. It's more support than you'll need, but I'd rather you have more than less. What questions do you have for me? Okay. Yeah. Now I understand that they understand the delivery and they have no questions. Then I go into my price drop. All right. So it's pillars, delivery, price drop is your pitch. And the best price drop that I found after 7,000 calls and working with hundreds of people is a paid in full price drop. Yeah, man, to work together for the next X amount of months to help you accomplish insert goal. It's either 2 payments of this or 1 payment of that. It's either 2 payments of 4K or a one-time investment of just 6,500. All right. So it's a discount if they paid in full. What most people do is, yeah, man, it's 6,500. Like, cool, man, I want to work with you, but I don't got 6,500. Like, okay, cool. Well, if we put it on a payment plan, it'll be 8K. People don't want to pay more to have a payment plan, but they don't mind getting a discount if they do have the ability to pay it in full. So psychologically, that price drop works very well. And then if you didn't do a great discovery, now you're in objections land and you handle those objections, close the deal.
Yeah. It's a powerful process, for sure. And obviously too, these are the 2 biggest parts. I know you handle the first few sections of your, framework there in 2 minutes. The discovery portion, I think I just want to, you explained it clear, but even just to add context to what you say about don't make statements, especially when pre-handling objections, because I think at times people avoid bringing up objections they get in the past because they think they're going to cede the objection. but you're not seeding it if you only ask questions. You will seed it if you start making statements, right? So when you're pre-handling, objections and trying to kind of unearth them before you actually make your offer, just to clarify, so you're only asking questions until you see it going, right? Like you're not bringing up statements that could bring up objections.
Yeah, correct. Exactly right. Because if I ask you about timing and you're like, yeah, man, I'm like, dude, I need to solve this now. That's a green light. If like, yeah, man, I need to solve this for probably 6 years from now. That's a red light, right? Like, and if it's a yellow light or a red light, then I handle it head on. Like, I want to make sure everything lines up. I want to make sure you can afford it. I want to make sure the timing is now. I want to make sure this is a big enough problem. I want to make sure you haven't tried something like what I do in the past. Like, I want to get all of that out on the table during discovery. So it's straight Q&A until potentially an objection comes up and it blips on the radar. And then I start asking questions to handle that objection specifically, proactively.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, if you leave it to the end, you're already behind the 8 ball, It's like then you're back on your heels and you're trying to, and of course too, it's like if you haven't pre-handled it, once one thing comes up, you'll notice like it tends to spiral, right? It's like, oh, well, it was the money, but now it's actually, I got to talk to my wife about the money too. And all of a sudden it's objection after objection. You're just trying to like battle back and forth. And with every battle back and forth, it's the sales getting further and further away.
And they feel like you're trying to sell them, not help them. During discovery, you're a problem solver. At the end of the call, you're a product pusher. People don't want products pushed on them. They want their problems to be solved. So psychologically, it feels a lot better to tackle those objections during discovery when you haven't pitched them, you haven't price dropped them, because you're still, hey, I'm just trying to see if I can help you here, right? Like, I say that all the time. Like, dude, the reason I'm asking these questions, I just want to see if I can help you. Like, if you're genuinely not trying to do anything for 6 months from now, like, I might be the best to help you, but not today. So like, let's just table this conversation for 6 months from now. Right? It feels authentic, and it is authentic, where at the end of the call, it is authentic as well, but it's not how they perceive it. They think you're just trying to get them. Yeah. Right. So we want to get that out of the way early and often when we can.
Yeah. Yeah. And the second piece I wanted to touch on as far as, when you're actually making the offer, I love the 3 to 4 pillars, right? Like here's the 4 main things that are going on in this program. To make it feel customized, I'm curious, and you don't want to overdo this, I don't think, but based off your discovery, do you kind of, I don't know, just to make it very generic, right? Like, oh, I did a program before and I didn't get any support. And then in your pitch, when you're kind of talking about your pillars, hey, we have XYZ support systems, because I know that's something that was important to you in the past that you didn't, get before. Do you try to seed those sort of things in? And if so, to what extent, to the point where it's not too much,
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. Right. So like, if I'm going through, like, let's use my offer, and like pillar 1 is like your script, right? It's like, hey, look, the first thing we got to do is get you a working sales script, because you told me the sales script you currently use, ChatGPT generated it. And look, ChatGPT is great, but if your close rate is at 20%, the script you're using, it's probably dog shit, right? So like, we need to get rid of the ChatGPT script, and I need to build you a new script that's going to align your prospect's head and their heart and ultimately get them to buy, blah, 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 right? So I'm relating it back to what they've done. If I say sales systems, hey, earlier you told me you have no calendar questions, which is why you have a bunch of unqualified people on your calendar. So we need to build you calendar questions, right? You have no CRM, so you have no follow-up game. You can't keep things organized, whether it's sales or new clients or whatever it may be. So I'm always relating these pillars back to what they told me during discovery. And then same thing with delivery, right? Because that's pillars, and then delivery, same thing. Hey, you know how you said you did that program, you didn't like it, there wasn't enough support, blah, blah, blah. There was 400 people on a group call once a month spamming questions in the chat box, and you never got help. Yeah, so we have a group call, and then that's where I might tell them, hey, we have like less than 30 people on the group calls. It's very high touch. Like, everybody gets their question answered on every single call to make sure you're supported. Like, that's where I'm interlacing what they didn't like versus what I'm doing and how it's different, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to kind of drive the point home, why do you feel that's so effective when making your pitch?
I mean, dude, just think about it, right? Like, if you're a buyer And maybe you've tried, like with my offer, a sales coaching program in the past, right? And it didn't raise your close rate and you're in the same spot you were in before. Inherently, human nature is like, okay, this is just another one of those things. So I need to show them that it's not just another one of those things, and it's radically different than the bad investment they've made in the past. That's what gets them over the hump to make another investment. Like if you eat at a bad restaurant, you still go out to eat, but maybe you're just a little bit more diligent in doing your research to make sure you don't get sick again from a bad restaurant, right? You're still going to go out to eat, but maybe you're a little gun shy the next couple times you go, right? You need some trust built back in. And so obviously by customizing your pitch, pillars, and delivery, that's giving them the confidence of like, okay, yeah, like I probably just made a bad investment, but I do need the help. And this is radically different than what I tried in the past.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's, and I think it makes people feel like seen, heard, understood, right? They're like, dang, this guy, he listened to me and he came up with this customized solution for the thing. Because they were feeling it before, right? If you do a good discovery, like, dang, this guy's really diving deep. And then when you connect it, it like makes a little fireworks go off in their head and their heart, right? They're like, dang, this guy gets me. It puts them in a good position to buy, that's for sure. So well, look, I love that whole piece of it there. And then obviously at the end, there's a little bit of objection handling. I don't want to spend too much time on this particular piece because everyone's got objection handling and everything, single thing you could say. And I know you're obviously big on pre-handling objections, and I absolutely love that. But maybe going back to the earlier in the conversation, I think objection handling a lot of times comes from a place of confidence and caring. So in a nutshell, how do you go about handling like specific objections? How do you approach it? You don't have to go for the, every single objection that comes up in the exact words, but how do you approach handling objections to kind of get them over the line?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway here is visually, right? Like we're on a call, but visually in your mind, you need to go around the other end of the table because the conversation is very, I'm on this side of the table, you're on that side of the table up until this point. When we get to objections, you need to get up out of your chair, walk to the other side of the table, put your arm around that prospect and help them make a decision. When objection handling is very like this, they very rarely buy because at that point you're trying to convince them and they're trying to convince you because it's sell or be sold. When I put my arm around you and I'm like, dude, we're a team, like we got to help you and figure this out together. That's when people actually take action and work with you. So objection handling can't be like this back and forth. It's got to be very much like, dude, I'm here to help you. Like, what do we need to do to get you over the line? Right. And when you think about it, like the easiest way to objection handle any objection, it's like, hey, look, Grant, can I ask you a question? Yeah, man, what's up? Earlier on the call, right, before we got to the program and the price and all that, earlier on the call, when I was asking you questions, you told me that you were sick and tired of being sick and tired. And today was the day where you plant your flag in the sand and you had to make a change. You told me that you wanted to get a higher close rate. You wanted to close more deals. You wanted to scale the business of your dreams, right? Yeah, I said all those things. Okay. Would you say earlier on the call, that was kind of the highest version, like the most inspired, badass version of you speaking? Like you without limitations, you without these beliefs, like you just ready to kick ass, take names, and scale your business. That was the highest version of you, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, now that the price has come up, and now you're throwing out all of these objections, right? Oh, I need to wait a month. Oh, I need to check the finances. Would you say that's kind of like the lowest version of you kind of creeping in a little bit? Yeah. I mean, I guess. Didn't really think about it like that. Okay, well, it is, right? Like earlier, that was Grant. Now, I don't know who I'm talking to. It's called Gertrude. Like, this is not you, right? It's the lowest version of you trying to keep you safe, not happy. So we're at a fork in the road, and you have a decision to make. Do you want to be the highest version of Grant that builds his business and unlocks his dreams and has filthy amounts of money and helps a lot of people and scales his business? The Grant earlier on the call talking about those things. Or do you want to be Gertrude, right? Do you want to be the lowest version of you who's afraid to spend some money, to take some action, to ultimately get what he wants? Like, I'm not going to force you. I got 2 guns sitting on my desk over here. I'm not going to point one at your head and make you buy it. You need to make a decision. Do you want to be the highest version or lowest version of you? You tell me. Where do you want to go from here? Who says, yeah, I'd rather just be safe and the lower version, I'd rather, they're like, no, dude, I want to be that person. And it's like, okay, cool. Do you think maybe you're just a little bit afraid think maybe you're just a little bit scared, a little bit gun shy. Okay, so what do we need to do to give you the confidence to not be scared and not be gun shy and step into this highest version of yourself so we can unlock your full potential in your dreams? Like, what do we need to do? Dude, could you just like, I can't do the 10K. Like, dude, could we just do like a payment plan? Right now we're in negotiation and we just customize a payment plan and they enroll. Dude, I'm going to be traveling for a little bit. Do you think like the program could be a little bit longer? Great. We add a month to the program and they enroll. But it's a very much we thing.
Right.
Not like, that is the secret to objection handling.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. As soon as it gets kind of combative and it's a tug of war, you know, and you're kind of pulling someone towards you, it's with all that, what is the saying? You know, equal and opposite reactions. You know, it's like if you're pulling on someone, they're yanking away. So I think it's a really good, you know, way to put it, is be on their side of the table and help them make a decision, you know, together. Yeah. And if you approach it with that, they're going to feel comfortable, especially too with all the rapport you've built throughout the call and asking good questions and being there for them. So that's solid, man. Is there anything else you'd like to add to kind of the framework portion of it, or do you feel that kind of everything was covered as far as that piece goes?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's like higher level ninja tactics that you can use. Like, you know, leaning out is really powerful, where it's like, dude, if I'm objection handling for more than like 4 minutes, I just look at them like, hey, dude, could I give you some advice, some feedback here? And they're like, yeah, man. It's like, dude, just don't hire me. Right? Like, I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole. Right? Timing's the objection. I handle it. I give you some extra time. You know, money's the objection. We split up on a payment plan. Now the wife's the objection. Like, dude, just don't hire me. Like, not going to put a gun to your head and make you work with me. Like, I'll make $100,000 this month in cash, pure profit in my pocket. I live in my dream house. I drive my dream car. Life is good for me. I don't need your money. Right? But the question becomes, will your life be good without me? Because for the past 6 months, past 6 years, whatever their timeline is, things haven't been great. And I'm 100% confident I can help you solve it. But I want you to know I'll be okay if we don't work together. And like, it sounds like every time I handle one, you pop up 7 other things. Like, dude, just don't hire me. Keep having a shit close rate. Keep having a small business. Keep changing one life at a time rather than changing the lives of many and having a bigger legacy and ripple effect on the world. Dude, just keep doing that. Like, I'm not going to force you to work with me. And I lean out. And at that point, everybody wants what they can't have. 90% of the time, they pull me back in. Dude, you're right. Like, I know I need to do this. I'm just scared or whatever. And they buy. And then 10% of the time, they're like, dude, fuck it. You're right. I don't want to work with you. It's like, okay, don't. Like, what? Like, I'll be okay. Like, I come from an abundant mindset. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But most of the time when you lean out, they pull you back in and they want to work with you.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. I love it. I think that's a great place to wrap up that piece. Now, the other piece I want to cover here a little bit, I think, obviously being able to get a lead or a customer, client, however you want to phrase it, right, on the phone and being able to have a good conversation and be able to close them, right? That's the foundational piece. If that's not there, I don't think a ton of other things are going to matter. And I don't know exactly where this line draws between like marketing and sales, right? But let's call this a sales process where leading up to the actual call and the things surrounding it, I think, are just as important. So you're not wasting time on calls. You're not kind of getting blindsided, or even worse, almost them not knowing about what you do, and you're trying to sell them like on the whole idea of just getting better at sales right there while you're on the call, right? So what are some of the systems you have in place, right? Whether it's, you know, and I might rattle them off here, but how do you approach this? Like qualifying, pre-call questionnaire, pre-call VSL, testimonials, appointment reminders. What does a good sales system look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the calendar questions just at a base level to pre-qualify, is this even a human that I can help? That's important. That's step one. Once they are, right, if not, we just cancel the call. But assuming they are, we really only need 2 things. Okay? We need reminders. We need a post-call booking page. The reminders should be text and email. And what most people do where they go wrong is they use, like, let's say Calendly. And they have the automated Calendly reminders, and they don't edit those reminders. And it's just like, hey, Grant, your meeting with Austin is 7 days from now. You know, here's the link again. hey, Grant, your call with Austin is 3 days from now. Here's the link again, right? Like those don't do anything for you. What I have done is my reminders tell a story, right? So my reminders are, hey, Grant, your call with Austin is 24 hours from now. By the way, check out this testimonial, this testimonial, this testimonial. By the way, as a reminder, I do this. I help people accomplish this, right? So my testimonials are sharing, or my reminders are sharing a story to get them indoctrinated and reminded of who I am, because people make time for what's important to them. So if your no-show rate is very high, the marketplace is telling you that you have not done a good enough job to appear important enough for these people to show up and spend 45 minutes to an hour of their time with you. The reminders, the texts are simple because you can't type that much like in the text, right? But the key to text reminders is putting at the end in parentheses, this is a no reply number, right? Because how many times have you gotten on a call, they don't show up, and you call them, text them, email, and they're like, hey man, I texted you back. I told you I needed to reschedule, but you don't get that text because it's a non-reply number from Calendly or Schedule Once. All right, so you say, this is a no reply number, right? So they know. And then your reminders, like 3 to 4 emails, are sharing different testimonials and different stories. And then what's very overlooked is a post-call booking redirect page. So when somebody books a call, it doesn't redirect them to the standard like Calendly Schedule Once, like congrats, your call's booked. It redirects them to a standalone landing page that you can build in ClickFunnels or Kajabi or whatever you use. And on that page, it should be 3 things. Title, like headline, hey, congrats, your call's booked, looking forward to connecting with you. Video, 3, 5, 10, 15-minute video, every testimonial you got, right? That video is basically, hey, congrats, your call is booked. To make sure that you're in the right place, I help these people accomplish these things, and I don't help these people accomplish these things. Like in my post-call booking video is like, I help coaches that have at least 10 to 15 or more sales calls on their calendar every month. If you don't have 10 to 15 sales calls, we should not have a conversation. You need to go figure out your marketing. Make sure you're in a quiet place, no distractions, pen and paper in hand, ready to take notes. I will not take a call with you if you're driving, and I do not do reschedules because my calendar is very tight. Right. So it's like laying out. And then if you want to lace in some testimonials and things like that into that video, cool. And then underneath that is every testimonial you got. That redirects right after they booked the call. They're in momentum. Boom. Now they're getting further indoctrinated into who you are. This is important. This guy can help me. I'm excited to connect with him. The show up rate goes up. Those are really the 2 things that you need. Reminders, post-call booking page.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the post-call booking page. Because you want them to be prepared and clear, right? If they can be clear on who you are and what you do, I think there's, I've worked in some sales systems or even help people develop systems just like this, where they're getting on calls and they're like selling people on who they are and what they even do in the first place. I'm like, you are wasting so much time on this call. It's like, they don't even know if they want what you have yet, right? Like you almost want to be catching people. The only time you want them on a call, I feel like, is if they're just trying to decide if working with you is the right thing and the details of your offer, not being sold on like on the actual call. Hey, do I need to get better on sales calls in the first place? Or, hey, do I need to lose weight in the first place? You still want to talk about it on the call, but if they can have an understanding before they get on, it just makes the call that much easier and they're more qualified.
Yeah, they're problem aware, which makes it way easier to sell for sure.
Yeah. So just to clarify kind of 2 things here. I think these are, very tangible things people can take and do. Appointment reminders. What would you say the cadence on that is with these kind of testimonials in there? Are you doing, 24 hours, 12 hours, 10 minutes? Like what would be the cadence that you would have set for that?
Yeah, I mean, I can look to give you like my exact cadence. I can pull it up real quick. It's not super heavy where I'm like overselling, right? But let me pull this up and I can give you my exact workflow from a cadence perspective. So essentially they're going to book, okay? They're going to get a standard Google Calendar invite when they book, standard. Then 1 hour after booking, I send my lengthy one. Hey, this process was designed after taking 7,000 calls. It's been battle tested across every niche and industry, across tens and tens of thousands of sales calls between me and my clients. Like it's done $100 million in sales. Here's a couple testimonials, right? That's 1 hour after booking. Then I have another email 48 hours before the meeting. That's another single testimonial. Then I have another email 24 hours before the meeting. And then I have one final email 2 hours before the booking. I don't do emails anything closer to 2 hours because they're probably busy. They're probably not even going to read it and go through it anyway. And the 2 hour email is like very short, no testimonial there. And then I also have a text 1 hour before. And then I have a text 15 minutes before. And those are short, sweet, to the point, just reminding them of the meeting. So in all, it's 6 plus. So it's 4 emails, 2 texts, and then the standard calendar invite. So it's 7 total, technically.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think sometimes people get a little gun shy on that. And that's why I kind of wanted to see from your perspective, like, oh, am I going to be bothering this person? It's like they booked a call with you. Like they're showing buyer signals, right? Like play into that, make sure they're clear, make sure they're bought into what you have. And I think another mistake I see people make, and weirdly enough, not corrected often, how far out do you let someone actually book an appointment? Because that's it within a scheduler, right? It's like you don't want someone booking a call a month out for the most part, right? Do you have anything, like a time frame where you have a cutoff?
Yeah, 2 to 3 days is the sweet spot. That is the sweet spot. Anything beyond that, they don't remember who you are. They don't remember what they booked. Like 2 to 3 days is the sweet spot. I don't do same day meetings. I like to go to bed at night and I know my schedule is set for the next day. I don't want it to be 11 a.m. and I get a call booked at 2 p.m. Right? Because like if I had a gap at 2 p.m. and I didn't expect anything to be there, maybe I set up lunch with a friend or I was going to film a new piece of content or whatever. I don't want to be that at the whim of anyone on the internet can just like rattle my day. So I don't allow people to book. I think it's a 16-hour buffer between the time right now, 16 hours out, they can't book. And then it's a 2 to 3 day window out from that 16-hour buffer.
Yeah. It's an effective process, man. I love it. Anything else you want to touch on as far as kind of the ecosystem surrounding the sales call?
No, I think with the reminders and the post-call booking, it really helps with show-up rates and indoctrination. The only other like very high-level ninja tactic that if you're listening to this, like maybe it makes sense for you, maybe it doesn't, depending on your volume. But what you can do and what I have helped clients do, which is very effective, once somebody books a call and they are redirected to the post-call booking page, you can, if you're very high level, build a retargeting audience only on the people that see that page. So it's a very small audience. Maybe there's 10 or 15, 20, however much volume you have like in that audience at a time. And all your retargeting ads have a frequency of 1, meaning it only shows that specific ad to that specific person 1 time. And once they see it, it never shows them that ad again. And you want to have 5 to 10 video ads that break down the limiting beliefs that your prospects typically have. Timing, investing in themselves, whatever it may be. And you just film content and they don't know you're doing this, but you're indoctrinating them through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you do your marketing, where they're seeing these quick 20, 30, 45-second ads of you talking, not directly to them. It's not, hey, you booked a call with me. Let me break your limiting beliefs, right? But it's you sharing stories that are psychologically breaking their limiting beliefs before they even get to the call. That's another way of reminders as well. Text, email, retargeting. That's not where people should start. But if you're taking 30, 40 sales calls plus per month, that's a great thing that you can include, which increases your show up rate. And the more people see you, the more they trust you, right? If they see you all the time, they assume like, okay, this guy's legit. He has a big business. Like, he can help me. So your show up rate goes up, your indoctrination goes up. It's a win-win all the way around. So that's another kind of ninja tactic.
Yeah, that's gold there. That particular with the frequency of 1 overcoming the limiting beliefs, that's gold, man. Yeah, I mean, anyone who's watching this, you're learning this from who I regard as one of the best in the game right now. Honestly, I think your track record proves it. Just watching you on your calls and your content that you put out, I'm fully convinced someone could drastically increase their close percentage just going and checking out your YouTube channel. You should hire Austin for sure if you need to, but really go look at his content, how he operates within, you know, his business, his sales calls, how he coaches people. You've got great content of you being on coaching calls with people. So go check that out. But kind of wrapping up here, what would you like to leave anyone with?
Everyone's a salesperson. You might as well be a good one.
I love it. Love it. And one more time, just so we can make sure that we're pointing people in the right direction. Anyone here who's listening, where can they find you, learn from you, connect with you, learn about your services?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's the Austin Medlin. And on YouTube, it's just Austin Medlin or closesales.com.
Okay. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, go check out Austin. Austin, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Of course, brother. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you.